Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to Garden Reads It All. Today I'm going to be going through the 25 books that I really want to read in 2025. I mean, I do want to read way more than 25 books. These are just the 25 priority books that I just had a little look around my library room and I was like, yep, I want to read you, I want to read you, I want to read you. Obviously I want to read everything in here, but as I said, priorities. Now I will definitely be reading these this year because if I don't, I will be challenging myself to finish all of them off that I need to read in a reading vlog in January 2026. Not to think ahead or anything, but at the minute I'm currently filming a reading vlog where I'm finishing out the reads that I still need to read from my 24 books in 2024 video, which I will also link down below if you want to check it out because I will have that vlog coming this week, right after this video actually. So yeah, I will definitely be reading these books, and so I'm going to make extra effort to make sure I get to them, especially if I'm challenging myself to actually do a reading vlog next January, because the less books I need to read for that vlog, the better. So I will definitely be getting to these one way or another. I'm gonna read ya. I'm gonna get ya. So please give this video a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm gonna get straight into it with Watership Down by Douglas Adams. No, it's not. He's the one who did The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I should have probably put on this 25 books. Spoiler alert, I didn't. So the first book is going to be Watership Down by Richard Adams. This is actually not an order of what I want to read the most to the least out of this 25. This is all in alphabetical order by author surname, just to let you know. But Watership Down, I did want to put some children's classics on here. That animated film was really for children. Could have fooled me. If that film can scar me, I'm pretty sure this one will too. But I honestly can't really tell you what it's about because there's nothing really on the back to let you know. I just know that it's about animals. And I think they're just living, I think they're just existing. But I can't tell you the actual plot or anything like that. I believe there's a rabbit in it. And that's all I really know. It's massive though. It's one of the biggest children's classics that I have. It's over 600 pages. And for a children's classic, that's quite enormous. So this one will definitely get read by January 2026 at least. Okay, next I'm holding up a specific book, but I would just like to try and read this author this year. And that is Olivia Blake. So I do have the Atlas 6 here. I probably will prioritize this one the most because this is the one that everyone talks about. This was the most popular Olivia Blake book, I believe. And I own a lot of Olivia Blake books because they're always releasing special editions of them. And I don't like getting FOMO, so I ended up getting them and I still haven't read them yet. So I need to give this author a chance to know whether or not I should continue collecting her books or not. The Atlas 6 I'm a little bit scared of because even reading the summary I get so confused, and I've said this for a couple of years now because I've owned this for years. In this one we have 6 magicians and they are invited to join this Alexandrian society, and this is where custodians guard lost knowledge of the world. I think this is probably going to be a little bit lyrical, a little bit complex. Actually, I think the second book's called The Atlas Complex. And I have heard very mixed things about this, but I just need to knock Olivia Blake off. In terms of like reading her books, I don't mean like actually knocking her off. Next I have Welcome to the AngelBookshop. And this one is by Huang Bo-Riem. And this one is one that is so popular right now. It's one of those translated healing fiction books that's going around. And I have been reading some of those recently. I've read 2 in the past couple of weeks and I like them. It's a really nice vibe. This one follows Youngju and she quits a high-flying career in order to open up a bookshop, which is very risky. This is set in Seoul and I believe a lot of her customers end up taking refuge in her bookshop, and I think it just celebrates bookshops and meeting strangers and making new friends and things like that. So yeah, I really want to read it. It's very popular right now. I don't know if it's going to be as popular as it is in a year's time. Who can predict the publisher market, you know? So I was going to read this in January. It came second in my book club poll for Patreon and it missed out by 1 vote. So I still really want to read it, so I will definitely do that in my own time. So next I have Zora and Me by Victoria Bond and T.R. Simon. I've had this one for literally years, and out of all the middle grades I own, this one has probably one of the scariest plots that I've heard of, and I'm kind of wondering if it toes the line between it being a bit too much for middle grade, or maybe it's not enough at all. But there is a murder in this town and this man's body is found, and Zora, she is the main character, she believes that this shape-shifting gator man is the one who's doing it. So I always find it interesting when a middle grade tackles murder, so I had to put a middle grade on. Next I have A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. I've also had this one for literally years. I even have the sequel as well. I bought these nice special fairy loot editions of them because I was so excited for them. I think this might come in a box, a subscription box, but the sequel did not. And I went out of my way to get that myself. This one there is someone called Malik and he wants to escape with his sisters to this desert city. However, Malik's younger sister is kidnapped one day, and in order to get her back, he is tasked to kill the princess, the crown princess. So I believe we also follow Karina, who is the crown princess, and I think it might be a dual narrative between them. But I am very excited to get to it. I was putting it off for a while because I didn't know if maybe the premise was a little bit too similar to other young adult books that I've read. So I wasn't sure if I was going to carve it its own path. But, you know, now I have no other option. I need to read this and maybe even binge the second one right after it if I love it enough. I'm hoping some of these books come up on Emboss or Toss, because that would really help narrow these down. Okay, next I have The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. As you know, there is a brand new Hunger Games book coming out this year, and I want to reread all of the Hunger Games books in preparation for the new book. So I do want to do a complete spoiler vlog, rereading all of the books so far. So there's been 4 books, the original trilogy, and then The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I've only ever read the once, and I haven't read Hunger Games since... gosh, when was it? Like 2011, maybe 2012. It's been a long time since I read them. It might have actually been when the first film came out, so 2012. And I just have every faith that this still holds up to me, because this is one of my favorite books of all time. The series is one of my favorite series of all time, and I just can't wait to get back into this world, which you already know what it's about, but it does follow Katniss Everdeen. She ends up becoming part of the Hunger Games, which are these like really sadistic games where 2 kids from each district are sent, and they have to pretty much kill each other and win. Okay, the next author is a brand new author to me. Never read any of these stories before, but I have Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and I really want to read my very first Sherlock Holmes this year. I don't think I will be able to solve them. I feel like these are going to be a little bit more complex than the clues that Agatha Christie gives you, for instance, in some of the Poirot books or some of the other books that she's done. This one, I don't know if these are all short stories or if it's one story or what. I will do more research. So while I may not have to read this specific edition, as long as I read a Sherlock Holmes book this year, then I will consider this challenge accepted. While I do have a lot of backlist books that I really want to get to, I also have some new books that I would like to give a go, and one of them is the Woodsmoke Women's Book of Spells by Rachel Greenlow. Everything about this title, everything about this cover as well, with how beautiful it is, just screams at me, because I love witches so much. I love fiction with witches, anything with witches. I don't even need to wait until October to read it, because I could read witches all year long. So this one follows Carrie, and she returns to Woodsmoke after leaving 10 years before. There is a beautiful stranger who comes into her life in this town, who comes in with the frost, and her family warn her that he is somebody who will leave as the frost goes. So there's like some kind of weird thing going on with her love interest. Sounds a little bit Practical Magic-esque. It says if Carrie is to embrace the power a Morgan woman carries, she must trade something in return, but as if in a curse with any price. So yeah, it really does sound very Practical Magic. As much as me and the next person are falling out, and I haven't really enjoyed anything this person has written for years, I do still have one book on my TBR that this person has written, and that is We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. So I haven't enjoyed a Grady Hendrix book in many, many years, but there is a witchcraft book that's coming out in January. Actually, that's this month. There is a witchcraft book that's coming out this month that I have pre-ordered, yes. I know I don't like his books. I don't like his books, but I've still pre-ordered it because it was beautiful and it's about witches. What did I just say? What did I just say? I said I love witches. So even though this man who's writing is not hitting my G-spot, I still want to give this a read. And plus, I already own this one. This one has been on my TBR for years. This could be a good one because it was written years and years and years ago. It might be one of his first books. But yeah, We Sold Our Souls. It just sounds so good. I think it's about like some kind of rock band. Oh, heavy metal band. Sorry, not rock. Heavy metal. And I think there might be some kind of Faustian pacts, some kind of deals with devils, something like that. If the title is anything to go by, I think they sell their souls. So I did love early Grady Hendrix, so maybe this will be a win for me. And then I might end up enjoying the newer one. Maybe he's learned his lesson. Oh god, the next one. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but I need to add steaks. You know me, I love a good steak. So I am adding Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Why? I actually don't know. I mean, I do own it, so I do want to read it. It's like nearly 1,000 pages, which actually the book that I'm about to talk about next is more pages than this. But this one is way more intimidating because, I mean, it's Les Mis. It's massive. It's an older book. It is a classic. Oh my god, the writing is so small. The writing is so small now. You know, I'm just going to put it back. I'm kidding. I will keep it. But no, I have been looking at this on my shelves and I've just been thinking, how great would it be to knock that off my TBR? I mean, how proud would I feel of myself upon completing it? I have seen the musical. I've watched the film and I find it a little bit boring. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Les Mis. I apologize. I do like some of the songs. I do think it is a good musical, but I just find it boring. So I'm hoping I don't find the book boring. We'll see. Next, I have Stephen King's It, and this is bigger than Les Mis. The writing is also pretty small. This one is actually over 1,000 pages. But this one I do have to read because I'm doing my Gavin Reads All the King series. And this one will be in episode 5 along with Misery, which I love. But it has been a book that I've always wanted to read for many different reasons. I have seen the 2017 and the 2019 films. I've never actually seen the Tim Curry miniseries one. But this is one of Stephen King's most famous, most popular, and I do want to give it a read. And I do know there is a really weird scene in this that should not be in it. I do know about it. I get told about it every time I mention this book, and I am going to tackle that, and I'm finally going to know exactly what you mean. I mean, I kind of know what happens in that scene, but I kind of don't know what you mean in that scene. Does that make sense? Like, I need to read it with my own eyes in order to understand what the hell you're talking about. I do think overall the story will be very, very good, if not a little bit too long. But I did want to add this to this list, even though I will definitely be reading it. I mean, I'm definitely reading all of them, but like, I have an actual project that I'm doing it for. You might think it's a little bit of a cop-out, a little bit of a cheat, but I don't care. Oh, and it is set in a town called Derry in Maine, and it follows some children who are stalked by this evil entity that uses their greatest fears against them. At least that's kind of what the films are about. There's more to it than that. There's more to it. Next, I have Richard Lehman's The Lake. This one came in a Abominable book box, and I have still not read a book from the Abominable book box. I have cancelled my subscription, but I did get some really good horror books from them, and so I do need to actually start reading them. So The Lake was one of them, and it was one of the ones that kind of stuck out to me the most because I've never read Richard Lehman. You know, he is a very popular kind of horror author. So this has someone called Lee, and she is excited for summer, and unfortunately something happens to her that shatters her life, and then 18 years later her daughter Deanna has no idea what her mother went through, and I believe she also goes to the same kind of lake that her mother went to. I don't know, the summary of this is kind of vague, but I love the cover, and I love the fact that the Abominable book box sent me like this very old kind of second-hand edition of it. Like, I love stuff like that so much. I love books that have a story in terms of like ownership and like who had that book first and all. Oh, I just love it. Oh, next I have something that's been on my TBR since I joined BookTube, and that is Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. I love anything to do with pirates, really. I'm very obsessed with pirates, and I had a bit of a renaissance with pirate love when I started reading One Piece a couple of years ago. I was actually saving this for a potential Scallywagathon. So Allie from with Allie. I'm still waiting for it. I feel like nearly 6 years on my TBR is just a little bit too much, you know. This one follows Alosa, and she is the daughter of the Pirate King, and she is sent on a mission to find this map. And this map will be the key to finding some hidden treasure. Like, that just screams adventure to me. That just screams, I'm gonna read you now. It screams everything I love about pirate fiction and pirate movies and pirate TV shows. You know, the sense of adventure and going across the 7 seas and going to these weird pirate ships and doing all the, it just sounds right up my street. So don't ask me why it's taken this long to read it. Don't ask me. Next, I have The Three Body Problem by Six and Lou. I believe this is sci-fi, and I am trying to read more adult fantasy, more adult sci-fi in 2025. This one, I believe, follows an engineer called Wang, and he is sent on this like kind of mission by the police to kind of find out what's happening in the area because there are some people taking their lives unexplainably, and it might have some connection to an online game. This online game, this virtual world, will be the answer to the deaths of the scientists and all the things that are going wrong at the minute. So as soon as this came from Broken Binding, I fell in love with the cover. I do know a lot of people have already read this one. I believe it was very popular a few years back as well. I think it might have just gotten a TV show adaptation or a movie adaptation or something like that. Definitely high up on my priority though, and I just need to get through those book box books, you know what I mean? Next, I have a more recent one in my collection, but I believe this is a classic as well, and this is Tokyo Express by Seicho Matsumoto. I got this one when I was in Edinburgh back in November. I saw it on the table, and you know, I just saw Tokyo and I was like, yes, I want to go there. I love Japan so much, and apparently it's crime fiction, and you know me, I'm into my mystery, I'm into my crime. There's nothing I wouldn't get into. It is Gavin Reads It All after all. So the bodies of a young couple are found in this rocky cave, and the flush on their cheeks indicate that it was cyanide. But there are a couple of local detectives who decide to investigate. Even though it looks like they might have done it themselves, they think something else is going on. It's said to be Hitchcockian, it's said to be engrossing, and it's so short too. It's really, really short. And what can I say? I love a short king. Next, I have Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. This was one of the few books that came up on the Best Books of the 21st Century by The Times that I did a reading vlog for earlier in 2024. I was about to say earlier this year, but it is a new year now, Gavin, and I need to get used to that. But this one came up and it made me realize, oh, you know what? I actually do really want to read this so much. It's in my collection. I should do it. I've never seen the film. I would like to watch the film at some point. I believe this one follows different narrators. We go through different passages of time. It's very, very confusing and hard to explain. But I do also know a few of my friends on BookTube really love this, and and they even say sometimes they wouldn't recommend it, but I like a challenge. I'm going to give myself this challenge to read it. Literally, I don't think there's anything else in this summary that I could even tell you about that would make sense. It just seems to follow loads of different people. Souls cross ages like clouds cross skies. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. A book I got in Australia is The Full Moon Coffee Shop by May Mokazuki, and it's translated by Jessie Kirkwood. Look, it's got Cass on the cover. It's about a coffee shop. I do want to try and read a book where I read books about coffee shops in coffee shops. And there is a coffee shop in Kyoto that does move around, I believe it does. And it's also run by talking cats. So come on. The coffee shop also attracts people who have lost their way. And I did just read Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And I did just read The Rainfall Market as well. And it sounds pretty similar to those kinds of concepts. So yeah, gonna give it a read. Okay, I haven't read Murakami yet. And I did get recommended Norwegian Wood by a friend. I don't know if this is gonna quite be my thing. I might struggle with it, I might not enjoy it, but I did say I would read it this year, and so I'm committing to it. My very first Murakami. I might do a reading vlog for it, reading my very first Murakami. That could be a good idea. This one follows someone who I believe was in love with his best friend's girlfriend, and when he hears her favourite Beatles song, he's transported back in time. And I believe the time he goes back to is a very pivotal part of his life, where he can choose between different things to dictate what happens to him in the future. So I do feel like it's going to be a very high stakes kind of situation thing. But I'm not sure if I will definitely get on with this one, but I'm excited to give it a try. Next, I've been saying I was going to read this years ago as well. But that is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Now that I'm putting it on this TBR, I definitely have to read it this year. Like, definitely. It is set at a retirement home. There are, I think, 4 main characters who are elderly, and they begin solving crimes that happens on their doorstep. And I believe it's murder, because they are the Thursday Murder Club. Yeah, it's a brutal killing. And they find themselves in the middle of their first live case. Exciting stuff. And I do know a lot of people love this series. I know a lot of people cried at the 4th book, and I own all 4 of the books too, so I definitely need to read the first book at least. And next one may be a little bit of a cheat because I do have a project plan for this one, but I do have The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This one would be a reread, but I can barely remember the first time I read it because it was during 2020, and a lot of books I read in 2020 have just like been lost to the ether in my mind. And I do really want to do a series where I read all the Cosmere, so Gavin reads all the Cosmere, like I do with my Stephen King series, and I want to give this a reread so that I can really get back into that world. Oh, hello, Ash! Oh, you're so cute. Say hello to everyone. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so beautiful. Say hello. Say hello. What's that? Oh, what's that? What is it? Is that you? And I can't even remember what happened in this. I genuinely cannot. I believe there was some kind of metal element, or maybe in the magic system. There is an uprising. There is a Lord Ruler who's reigned absolute power and ultimate terror over the years too. There is a Scar street urchin who must learn to master allomancy, the power of a mistborn. You know more than I do. Next, I have Anatomy, a love story by Dana Schwartz. This is one that I have, again, had for many years. I think when it first came out, I believe actually I was working at Waterstones at the time, and I remember it coming in on the trolley when it had just been released. And actually, it might have been a few days before it was supposed to get released. And I remember just picking it up and being like, yeah, I want this so badly. And this is Gothic. I believe it's set in Edinburgh. Yeah, in 1817. So we follow Hazel, who has always wanted to be a surgeon. And we also have Jack, who is apparently a resurrection man. And I think he works with bodies or dead bodies, like some kind of morgue person, I think. And Hazel's kicked out of a surgeon class because she is the wrong gender. So she is trying to pass her exam, and I think Jack is going to help her. And it is supposed to be like Gothic, and, you know, I'm sure it's going to have all of those atmospheric scenes, and the time period itself is going to be quite beautiful, or beautifully Gothic, and dead bodies as well. Like, what more do you want from a Gothic story? Now, next I have a cute one, and that's Smallville. I want to read some Smallville books this year because it's going to be the 25th anniversary of Smallville. Also, the theme song for Smallville is on the website that I use to get licenses for like very popular songs. So because I can pay for the license for the theme song, I can do a reading vlog for reading Smallville books for the 25th anniversary with the theme song. Like, how cool is that? Like, that's probably one of the only reasons I'm doing this, really. I mean, I did love Smallville. It was a great show when I watched it back in the... Actually, no, hang on. Did it start in 2001? Or 2000? Okay, it's either the 24th anniversary or the 25th anniversary. It might have started in 2001. Oh, wait, no, hang on. Did it go from 2000 to 2010 or 2001 to 2011? I just know it lasted 10 years. Either way, I want to do this year. And I want to read some Smallville books, okay? Good. Oh, in Smallville is like Clark Kent, Superman, before he becomes Superman. Next, I have Summerland by Rivers Solomon. So we follow Bryn and she's trying to escape this kind of religious place called Blessed Acres. And it sounds like some kind of cult, but I'm not sure. However, her body undergoes this metamorphosis. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it entails, but it sounds strange. It sounds creepy. It sounds awesome. And I do know one of my friends, Jessie, absolutely loves this book. So I want to give it a read. If a friend loves it, I sometimes love it too. Not all the times, but sometimes. Oh, I have a graphic novel on here because I do need to make this a little bit easier on myself. So I have North Ranger by Ray Terciero and Bray Indigo. I just did my home library tour video and I almost forgot because I never really gravitate towards my graphic novels anymore. I feel like I've put graphic novels in the past, but this one is a gay retelling of Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. But like I think set at a ranch, like some kind of cowboy ranch, and it's young adult. And I love Northanger Abbey so much. It's one of my favourite Jane Austen books. And if this is like a kind of retelling of that, it does indicate that there is going to be a little bit of gothicness to it. Unless they did completely take that out. Oh, hang on. It says, inspired by the gothic romance of Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey, comes a modern love story so romantic it's scary. Yeah, it follows Kate and Henry. It's going to be so cute. It's going to be so cute. But so romantic it's scary. It's probably going to make me sick too. Like, I love Heartstopper, don't get me wrong, but sometimes, like, really sweet, gushy love makes me want to vom a little bit. Because, you know, I'm bitter and single. That's just who I am. And every now and then I do love a good romance, but sometimes I just don't. Ash, are you wanting some food? I will give Ash some food. I just have one more book to go. I've just got one more book to go, Ash. So the final book, and I think this is 25 unless I counted wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 24, 25. I have The Dragonborn Chair by Tad Williams. Again, another massive fantasy. This one is nearly 1,000 pages, but look at the text. Look at the text, it's like bold, it's big. And this came in broken binding and I freaking love the way this looks. Freaking love it. It looks gorgeous. One of the most beautifulest cover arts I've ever seen. This one follows a kitchen boy called Simon. He's 14, he's bored, and he ends up becoming an apprentice to this castle wizard. And so I do think this is one of those like typical kind of fantasy stories. It sounds a little bit like, is it The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb? Or just Assassin's Apprentice? I don't think it has a the. And I feel like some people would give me shit for saying the if there's no the. Maybe it sounds like a little bit like that, a little bit. But either way, I did want to put another adult fantasy on here, you know, just for some accountability. There's nothing else I know about this book, so I can't tell you anything else about it. I'm sorry. I will tell you more about it when I actually read it. But that was my 25 books to read in 2025. I don't know if you yourself have any books that you really do need to read this year. Please do let me know down below. I would love to know that actually. Let me know your priorities. And this is also not a reflection of everything I'm reading this year, by the way. There is so much more that I want to get read in 2025, but these just spoke to me today. Who knows, maybe a year from now I don't fancy them anymore. But my hope is that I've read them by then. And if not, this time next year there will be a reading vlog finishing these out. So I definitely do not want to leave 25 books for next January. Can you imagine if I need to read Les Mis, The Dragonborn Chair in 1 month, Watership Down, Cloud Atlas? I'm not leaving this until the last minute. So please do help me to stay accountable for these this year. And yeah, that's the video. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave all your thoughts down below. Let me know what your priorities of 2025 are. Let me know if there's any books I mentioned in this video that you cannot wait for me to read. Please try not to be like, oh, I really hated that book, because that might make me less motivated to read it. But please do still share your thoughts and stuff. I would love to hear it. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons for supporting my channel. If you'd like to join my Patreon, then the link is in the description box. But yeah, I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye.